The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said to his disciples, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine grower. He takes away every branch in me that does not bear fruit, and every one that does he prunes so that it bears more fruit. You are already pruned because of the word that I spoke to you. Remain in me as I remain in you. Just as a branch cannot bear fruit on its own unless it remains on the vine, so neither can you unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever remains in me and I in him will bear much fruit, because without me you can do nothing. Anyone who does not remain in me will be thrown out like a branch and wither. People will gather them and throw them into the fire, and they will be burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask for whatever you want, and it will be done for you. By this is my Father glorified, that you bear much fruit and become my disciples." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Today I want to talk about vines, verbs, and silence. When I was praying with the Gospel today and this week, praying for the homily, Jesus says to us, "I am the vine, and you are the branches." When he said this, his Palestinian disciples from 2,000 years ago would have been thinking of a grapevine, the vine on which grapes grow, which is what they would have known at that point. But we don't have too many of those around here, and so the image that comes to my mind is a vine of ivy. And there's more ivy around here than there are grapevines. I think of the ivy at Wrigley Field. I think of Ivy League schools that have ivy growing all the way up the walls. And I think of my old house plant. I didn't name it ivy, but it was an ivy potted plant sitting on the bookshelf. The thing about these ivy plants is that they're always silent, strong, and always growing, creeping, living. At Wrigley, the ivy on the back wall is silently watching every game, but always alive. In the Ivy League schools, the ivy creeps up the side of the building, soaking in all that knowledge from the school hall. And the houseplant, steadily yet firmly and strongly, grows. I look at my desk, and I swear I look up 2 minutes later and the thing has grown 3 inches down the bookshelf. It cannot be stopped. I remember driving with my parents through my hometown and seeing the nicer part of the neighborhood. There was ivy crawling up the gables and the houses and the walls and the bricks of houses in that neighborhood. And it looked really cool, but my parents would always say that house isn't going to stand long because the ivy's going to work its way through the stone and will break down over time. So we also learn that ivy is strong. Even stone can't stop it. Jesus says, "I am the vine, and you are the branches. Remain in me as I remain in you." This "as" word he puts in the middle was always confusing to me because I thought it was do what I do and then you do it too. If I were to say, "Wave at me as I wave at you." I'll do it first, now you do it back. Thank you. Now stare at me as I stare at you. We're getting closer now because we're doing it at the same time. But this doesn't work if I were to say, "Dance with me as I dance with you. There's no me first, then you. We have to dance at the same time. I think this is what Jesus meant when he said, remain in me as I remain in you. Not me first, then you. Remain in me while I remain in you. While we remain in each other as a perfect community, as a perfect relationship of love. When I checked the Greek textbook on my cheat sheet, which is called the internet, it came up with many different words that can be translated. The word remain from the Greek can be translated as stay, tarry as a guest, not depart, continue to be present, persevere, endure, continue to be, relax, and abide. Abide is the one that stood out to me most. And so I'll say, abide in me as I abide in you. The thing about abiding is that it requires relaxing, stillness, and silence, just like the ivy growing in all three of those places, Wrigley, the school, and my bookshelf. Ivy is silent, but full of life. The life of the plant spreads through each one of its vines, going to the very tip, the very last leaf. A very good friend of mine, who died a number of years ago, but that has never stopped Christian friendship, has it? Her name is Mother Teresa, and she was from Calcutta, India. She's been praying for me all through seminary, and I've been talking to her in the way that we can talk to our brothers and sisters in heaven. She made a vine, a poem, a prayer that's always been really hard for me to chew on because it's always read so fast, and I always read it so fast. But when you take it and really let it abide in you, it makes a lot of sense to me. So I'll read it. She says, the fruit of silence is prayer. The fruit of prayer is faith. The fruit of faith is love. The fruit of love is service. And the fruit of service is peace. Jesus talks about in the gospel today that my Father is glorified. God is glorified when you, the branches, bear much fruit. So as we go into this 5th week of Easter, yes, it's been 5 weeks, and yes, we're still celebrating. Let's find ways to find silence in our lives, to be that silent growing vine, yet still present, yet still living, yet abiding, so that we can bear good fruit.